Welcome to Activate Your Introvert, the weekly radio show to uncover and unlock the entrepreneurial skills in your business. In this week's show, introverts don't like being around people, myth, promoting your introverts, and an interview with Nick Shelton. Nick, aka the Connected Introvert, has been fine-tuning the craft of effective high-level social strategy and networking for 20 years. He's built a strong international network of friends and colleagues, and he teaches introverts how to navigate social events with ease. And I just love the title of his book, An Introvert's Guide to World Domination. Become a high-level networker and upgrade your life. But just before speaking to Nick, you've probably noticed how most introverts aren't big on self-promotion, as they seem to prefer their work to speak for them. So you'll be helping yourself and your team if you recognise that. The belief is probably that their work should stand out for them, and possibly that you, their boss, should notice enough to help. After all, isn't that part of what a leader should do? So how can you be an advocate for your introverts? 1. Give them the time and opportunity to speak and present their ideas without being cut off. 2. Don't let the idea that the only great leaders are extroverts prevent you from seriously considering quiet candidates. 3. Recognizing and rewarding them for their contributions without making them point the contributions out to you. A couple of weeks ago, I said that internal validation is important to introverts. But that doesn't mean that introverts don't want to be recognised. I'm not talking about going soft or being PC. These are ideas to help you bring out the best in your entrepreneurs whose talents will benefit your business. Do let me know what tip you'd like to help you activate the entrepreneurial skills in your business, or what introvert myth you'd like exposed. Drop me an email, give me a call, or add it as a comment to your review on the iTunes store. I'd love to hear from you. But now, it's time to chat to Nick. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
One of the first things I always say to people is, before we dive into the subject, are you an introvert or an extrovert? And most importantly, what does that mean to you?
I consider myself an introvert, and to me that means that I get my energy from being alone. I really enjoy being alone to recharge, and then I can go out into the community and interact with people. And but that burns through energy pretty fast, and then I have to have some more time alone again to kind of get balanced out.
Yeah, that makes huge amounts of sense to me, and I'm sure to many, many listeners. When you do that, getting back on your own, is it literally just being on your own, or are there other things that you do that helps you to recover more quickly?
So most of the time, yeah, if I can just have some alone time, then that does it. But sometimes I'll go for a walk in the park, and sometimes I'll do some cooking because I find cooking to be therapeutic, or I'll just take a long shower. I can just sit there recharging it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I asked because sometimes I've chatted with people and we've come up with this phrase called active recovery. So recovery might just be sit alone, and sometimes there's some things that we can do that seem to make the recharging process go that a little bit quicker. For me, it's being underwater with the fish, but not everybody does that. So in your book, you talk about a scenario that I know well. Imagine you're at a high-level event and the room's full of fascinating people, and you know that you want to be in their orbit. The problem is you've got no idea how to get there. So instead, what does the introvert do? They find the nearest chair and they stay put for a couple of hours. I guess that's not the best thing to do, Nick.
That is correct. You're going to have to actually engage with some people. Some people, they just wonder, where would I start? And I was in that place myself. So I try to say, head over to the food, where the food is, where the drinks are, start there, and then you can make an observation. If there's always going to be people around that area, and then you can start something about the food. So if there's small sandwiches or something, you can say, hey, which sandwich is the best out of these two? Or you can make a comment about the drink selection. Last time there was an open bar, I was expecting an open bar so we could really get some drinks in, but I guess they just have coffee. It's something, just some observational thing. So there's a lot of people try to memorize conversation starters, but then when you actually show up, you don't remember what that is. So observe, just see what's going on. What's the temperature in the room? You can talk about that. Anything that the people around you are wearing, or what you might be wearing, or something about the food, something about, like in the men's room, you could say, oh, I saw art in the men's room. This is a fancy place. I've never seen art in the men's room before,
I guess your point is that if you're trying to memorize a conversation starter, you're adding to a stress level that you're already feeling. So just being, and I guess there's that famous phrase, isn't there? Being in the moment. But if you're just observing, it helps you to do that.
And I believe that introverts and shy and socially awkward people observe better than extroverts do, because you're in there, you're looking around, trying to figure things out. And so you notice things. And so now all you have to do is just vocalize something that you noticed.
Love it. For me, it was interesting that little scenario, and what you've given is a number of steps that can help the introvert. But I'm looking at that and going, what about the fascinating people that are not introverts? Should they be worried about the fact that there's a huge chunk of the people in the room that won't approach them?
They probably are missing out on some really great people, meeting some people. So if you were an extrovert in a room that you think is full of introverts, then you can also take steps to say, you can say in your mind, I'm going to rescue this person. So you can go and just grab somebody who looks like they're lost or confused. You can start the conversation or engage. That usually takes a big weight off of the other person's shoulders, because they say, finally, somebody's saving me from just sitting over here doing nothing. So
I guess again, an easy way to do that is be observational.
Right. You're both there, and you're both there for a reason. You might as well talk.
One of the other things your book talks a lot about is body language. What tips would you give for introverts to feel more comfortable in social settings?
Body language is so important because, whether you like it or not, people are scanning the room and they're looking around and they're making judgments on you, whether you want them to or not. They're sizing you up and drawing conclusions about you just from how you are standing or sitting and what your facial expression is. So I found that the best way to always look calm, confident, and approachable is to, what I call it, Duke cookie face. I guess over in the UK you'd say biscuits.
I must admit, when I was reading about Duke cookies, I was thinking, I'm not sure what they are. So thank you for the translation.
Yes. So yes, the biscuits. And so I was at an event, and how it went was I said, okay, how am I supposed to sit? So I was thinking, so if I was a nobleman, how would a noble sit? Because whenever you see, somebody on TV that's a noble or something, they're not stiff and they're not slouching. It's a kind of a relaxed, good posture. So I said, I will sit as though I was a nobleman. And then for the facial expression, if I walked into my best friend's house and we'll say biscuits, and I got hit with the smell of biscuits, then I would say, oh, they're going to offer me some soon. And I would have a nice pleasantness in my facial expression, and I'd have a glow in my eyes. So I'd tell people, sit like you are a person of importance, but not rigid, just like a nice, confident sitting posture. And then your face is, you've arrived at your best friend's house and you smell fresh baked goods, and you know you're going to be offered that soon, and you love that. You'll have a nice, pleasant look on your face all the time, and you'll have a good posture. And then if you meet eyes with somebody, then you can nod and telepathically think to them, hey, biscuits are coming, and then they're on their end, I don't know what they receive, but they receive something good where they feel like, hey, this person seems interesting. You'll have a little glow about you. And then, so that is a really great technique there, and everyone can put that into use right now. Also, when you're walking around, I always tell people, walk as though you're wearing a cape, and you want your cape to have a nice drape to it and flow correctly. And then that will make sure that your your posture is right and you have a nice, smooth, confident walk, and you will appear like you know what you're doing. And so if you pair that
Brilliant.
cape walk, Duke cookie face, or Duke biscuit face, then
I
you will have
really
all
like those. Thank you. Because I guess the point is that you're getting to is you've given some great tips to help people get into the right body language. And I guess what you're saying is when you're in the right body language, you'll look more confident, which attracts people to you.
Yes.
Especially if you've got Duke cookies. And secondly, if you're in the confident pose, you're going to feel more confident and respond better.
It goes together. You look and you feel that way. It just starts coming out of you, and you have this glow, and people can sense that. They don't know what it is, but they say, I need to know that person. And they approach you. So that takes something off your plate where you don't have to try to approach everyone. People will come to you because they're fascinated about what's going on with this person that seems to have it.
Fantastic. Nick, as all good conversations do, they run out of time far too quickly. And we could carry on talking for hours, but we can't. I'm sure that some of the listeners would either like to get back in touch with you, to ask you more questions, or even to get hold of your excellent book. What's the best way for them to do that?
They can go to connectedintrovert.com. That is my website, and it has a link to the book.
Brilliant. Nick, it's been superb to talk to you. Thank you for some great tips for both introvert and non-introvert. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And now it's time for Introvert Myth of the Week. Those crazy stories that I hear and you hear, but some people actually believe. I'm sure that you've noticed that the shops are full of pumpkins and other paraphernalia as the scary Halloween approaches. I always thought that Halloween was about witches. Turns out it's a bit of a myth. I looked it up and it means Saints' Evening. And there's a belief that the souls of the dead return home on one night of the year and must be appeased. This seems to have ancient origins, and it's found in many cultures throughout the world. In 19th century Ireland, candles would be lit and prayers formally offered for the souls of the dead. After that, eating, drinking and games would begin. Before I leave you to go eat, drink and play games, here's another myth. Introverts don't like being with other people. Granted, if those people are scary witches, it might be true. But otherwise, this myth belongs in the bin. It comes from our old friend, people energy. If I've been overstimulated by being around people, my people energy will be low. I don't really want to be with more people. Otherwise, show me the party. If you know anybody who seems to be randomly happy to socialise, or the opposite, maybe sometimes they're low on people energy and just need to recharge. Maybe it's a sign they're an introvert. Speaking of recharging, I'm going to leave you to get ready for your evening of All Hallows, or to buy some cheap pumpkins on the next day.
Thank you for listening to Activate Your Introvert, and I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. I'd love to see your reviews on the iTunes store. Thank you once again, and catch up with you next week.